Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, September 28th. Please note the roll. Vice President Baker.
Here.
Secretary Thompson.
Present.
Director Anderson.
Here.
Director Flores.
Here.
Director Kirkland.
Here.
And I'm President. Item 3, citizen communication. Do we have anyone signed up to speak? Great, moving on. Item 4, approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the BCRUA meeting minutes for August 24th, 2022. I hope everyone had a chance to look at the amended minutes.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that is, the revision was just clarifying that Director Anderson assented and not said
Abstain.
the word aye.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Item 5A, consider a resolution authorizing the president to execute a professional engineering services agreement with Walker Partners for the emergency repair of the Phase 1A contract to raw water pipeline. Ms. Bondi.
Thank you, Madam President. Last month, you all approved a construction contract for the emergency repair of the 36-inch underwater pipeline. And this month, we are asking you to approve the engineering support for that pipeline. That support from Walker Partners is for negotiating and preparing the contractor agreement, assisting with developing the repair plan, visiting the site to observe the progress, providing construction sequencing, determining the acceptability of schedules, reviewing contractor payments, and coordinating with BCRUA and the contractor to operationally test the pipeline. Staff, along with the Operations Committee, have completed negotiations with Walker Partner and reached an agreement on the attached scope of work and professional engineering services. The total compensation for these services will be based on time and materials with an estimated cap of $75,200. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. And I also would like to bring Aaron Archer up and give you a status of what the repair is, and then we can vote on after he's made the presentation. You ask any questions. Okay.
Good evening. So I want to first go through a little recap on the pipeline. It's been a little while since we talked about it in detail. The original pipeline failure that occurred was back in December of 2020 in the dead of winter, and what we found with that failure is that there is a restrained joint on the pipeline that had split with pipe support adjacent to it having failed. The way the pipeline was designed and installed is it has alternating flexible ball joints and then restrained joints that are rigid. A team was mobilized then after discovering the failure, and they worked on a repair that was completed in May of 2021, which consisted of a sleeve that connected the existing pipe to a new section of pipe, and then moving downstream from there, a double ball joint, which was a piece of material that we procured to support the dive team in completing that work. It gave them a lot of flexibility in how they were able to put the pipeline back together. When the leak was discovered back in August, it was determined that the sleeve that is furthest upstream towards the pump station was the location of the leak. And so that was initially in August of 2020 where we started our work. The repair approach that we have put together with the contractor on the project is to remove the leaking sleeve and to replace it with a ball joint and a dismantling joint in an attempt to get rid of rigid joints to the extent we can, knowing that it's difficult to support the pipe at this location. The double ball joint that was installed back in May of the prior year also was a double ball that we were able to procure quickly at the contractor's request to facilitate the work being completed by their divers. That is not the double ball that I would want in there long term, and the reason is the double ball that had been installed during the original repair expands and contracts in response to pressure in the pipeline. And a more ideal double ball solution is one that does not expand and contract under pressure. It would still be able to expand and contract in a forced balance position, which keeps it from responding to pressure. We can open it and we can close it, but it doesn't do that in response to pipeline pressure. So while these divers were down there doing this repair, I asked them to replace that double ball joint as well. We had ordered the forced balance double ball joint that does not move under line pressure during the original repair, but it had an exceptionally long lead time at that point. It took almost the better part of a year for that material to be procured. So even after that repair had been done, we went ahead and maintained the order to get that double ball joint on the shelf and in storage. In the event something like this should happen again at this leak, that we would have those long lead time items available to us to work on a repair. And then in addition to that work, they're going to install some new pipe support adjacent to the pipeline. And this time, knowing that this is a rigid area of the pipeline and with the right materials and equipment on the lake to handle a more robust repair, including I'll show you in a photo in a minute, a 90-ton crane, we are bringing in a drill rig to drill piers adjacent to the pipeline and provide more robust support. So these are some photos of the repair work underway. The flotilla that they've got on site right now is quite a bit different than what you may remember looking at the repair that was mobilized the first time. The first time we had a local contractor who had discovered that repair and was able to get on top of that repair and start working on it immediately, come out and use their equipment that they had on the lake. This has all been specially mobilized for this particular repair. So they've got a large flotilla with these vertical lines here are spud anchors that allow them to easily position over the break and move their barge as needed to address different locations on the line they're working on. They've got a large 90-ton crane that allows them to manipulate the pipeline and lift portions of the pipe, which we couldn't do previously on the last repair job due to the limitations of the crane on the prior job. And then they've got tugs and other support barges that they use to go back and forth from the shore to shuttle materials and their workmen back and forth. In terms of our progress, the dive crew has been working out there for approximately a week, 24 hours a day on this repair, so they've been doing day shift and night shift work with two different crews. There has been a lot of public communication from City of Cedar Park and City of Leander to their residents to reduce water usage through Stage 4 water restrictions, and those have been very successful to date, which has helped manage the demands from the city as they supply 100% of their water from their own water treatment plants. We are on schedule for water production to come from the BCRUA water plant not later than October 4th, so next week. We have learned that the installation of the new pipe support has been impacted by the hurricane. The main yard for this particular subcontractor is in Tampa, and so they've had some impacts to their team as they mobilize their equipment over here. But that's not going to have an influence on the startup of the BCRUA water plant. We're able to take that work off critical path and temporarily support the pipe until that crew comes back out here next week to complete the permanent pipe support. And then just as a reminder, we are currently working on a design of a pipeline to replace roughly half of the underwater pipeline, the portion of the pipeline that has this alternating ball joint and rigid joint design. And that work will be completed during low demand periods of winter of next year. So going into late 2023 and early 2024. Any questions on the the status of the raw water line repair.
Questions?
So I guess the closer examination proved that it was best case scenario, that as far as, I mean, it wasn't worse than what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think that they did a good job doing reconnaissance prior to mobilizing on site to know what we were going to need to complete that repair and schedule their work accordingly. So they've been working a very detailed schedule, dive-by-dive schedule on what they need to accomplish, and that's been coming together really well at this point, I think.
Good, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We have a resolution.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 5B, consider a resolution authorizing the president to execute a professional engineering services agreement with Walker Partners to final design of a 6 million gallon clear well.
Thank you, Madam President. This item is to add some additional capacity to the water treatment plant in terms of storage. Y'all have already authorized us to move forward with the next expansion of the water treatment plant, Phase 1D. And we have a 4 million gallon clear well at the water treatment plant. Clear well is basically a ground storage tank for treated water. And a second 1 million gallon clear well has been planned for the site. It's always been planned there, but it was initially planned for when the next expansion of the plant, Phase 2A, was to be completed. The City of Leander has requested that construction of this 6 million gallon clear well be accelerated so that it would be completed when this Phase 1D expansion that we're working on right now is finished. Leander City Council passed a resolution in July asking that we accelerate building this clear well. So Leander plans to initially fund the entire cost of the clear well design as well as its future construction. And Leander would then be reimbursed for the amount of the other two cities' share of the clear well in the future when they need it. The operating committee has agreed to and is recommending accelerating the design of the clear well based on Leander's request. So an agreement setting forth the reimbursement process and the amounts by Cedar Park and Round Rock would be developed and presented to the board prior to authorizing construction of the clear well. But we'd like to go ahead and move forward with the design now, and that will give us time, a few more months, to work out the details of the cost reimbursement prior to bringing that to you for construction. So we have completed negotiations with Walker Partners and reached agreement on the attached scope of work and professional engineering service agreement. And the agreement includes final design services for a 6 million gallon clear well. And the total negotiated lump sum amount for this task is $291,749. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, or we can bring Aaron back up as well.
I have a question. When was it expected to be built in the original plan? Approximately how long from now?
I guess that would be 2027.
Okay. And I'm just assuming based on labor and material prices, it would probably be more expensive to build it then anyhow, would it not, if we built it now?
Very likely.
I have one question and one comment. Just a clarification in Exhibit B, Engineering Services, Task 2.0, 60% design submittal. There's a reference to this level of completion shall advance the drawings prepared for the 30% submittal. But it seems pretty clear that there is no 30% submittals that's going to happen in this project, right? You're skipping straight to 60. So that was just a holdover from probably another scope, which I do all the time. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not like the 30% is missing from some other part of of the proposal. And then I'm just curious what your subconsultants are performing for a clear well design.
We still have some instrumentation and level sensors and others that Freeze and Nichols is doing on E&I. That's all.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions? All right, resolutions before us.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, item 5C, consider a resolution approving the BCRUA investment policy and strategy and authorized broker-dealer list.
Thank you, Madam President. We bring the BCRUA investment policy and strategy, and that includes the authorized broker-dealer list, to the board every year for review. We begin by having our investment advisor, Meter, review it and give us any recommendations, any updates in law or regulations. And having reviewed that and presented the results to our financial directors, there are no recommended changes to the investment policy and strategy this year. The authorized broker-dealer list, which is the last page of your document, does have a couple of changes. Meter Investment Management was purchased Patterson Associates, so we've had a name change there. One of our broker-dealers also had a minor name change in Spirix. And then our investment advisor has recommended that we add 2 additional companies, Academy Securities and Market Access Corporations. One other revision I'll point out, which is in the resolution, is that we are adding Kevin Klosterbauer he's an interim director of finance at Cedar Park, and we are adding him as Kent is retiring at the end of this month. So that's all I had to present. If there's any questions, I might ask Robert Powers to come back next month and dive into any detail, but
There's no questions. We have the resolution before us.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Executive session. Consider an executive session as authorized by 551.071 of the Government Code related to the consultation with the Board Attorneys regarding the repair of the BCRUA 36-inch underwater pipeline and potential claims.
and our executive session will be in the conference room down the hall.
So we'll adjourn for executive session and resume once we're done. I couldn't hear it. BCRUA Board of Directors meeting reconvene from executive session to regular session. And do we have any items to consider from executive session?
Yes, a motion to approve a resolution of the Brushy Creek Regional Utility Authority, Inc., authorizing the filing of lawsuits related to the design and construction of the 36-inch pipeline and providing for related matters.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. Resolution passes. All right. Item 7, Director closing comments regarding items of community interest. Start with Director Kirkland.
Just want to thank everybody, including all the crews that have worked on the repairs for the in-lake water lines. Appreciate all the work that's been done. Everybody, thank you for being here and have a wonderful evening.
Go down the line.
Good night. Thank you.
I just echo the same comments. Thank you for staff for working on this emergency project, and thank you for the citizens who helped as well, because certainly it was a big effort on their part to reduce their water usage during this time of year. So with that, good night. Thank you.
Go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, I just want to, in particular, thank the citizens of Leander for making it happen and getting us under that magic 9 MGD number for consumption.
I ditto everything everyone has said, but a big thanks to Dan and his team and to Gina and to our mayor for the city of Leander for really getting all the residents to focus on conservation and for us conserving and staying under the usage that we need to make this repair work. So we're really grateful that our citizens have done that. And thank you to BCRUA and everybody involved with this repair for getting it done.
And ditto everything everyone said. And, you know, another thing that we don't mention a lot is our communication staff and all the community outreach, because those folks really kind of came together and got some great ideas out there, signage and, you know, social media posts and all that. Because not everyone is on social media, but then again, it just kind of spreads, and we have orange signs all throughout Cedar Park. And I think, you know, it just, compliance is going to get us over this little bit of a hump, and appreciate everyone's work. And we are adjourned.